Okay, so we are going to read a verse from Bhagavad Gita 8th chapter, text 7. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudyacha mayi arpita mano buddhir mam evaishyasi asamsheha. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you attain me without doubt. Purport: this instruction to Arjuna is very important for all men engaged in material activities. Is there someone here who is engaged in material activities? Okay, so that's very practical for us. The Lord does not say that one should give up his prescribed duties or engagements. One can continue them and at the same time think of Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna. This will free one from material contamination and engage the mind and intelligence in Krishna. By chanting Krishna's names, one will be transferred to the supreme planet, Krishna Loka, without a doubt. So, the main topic, as we said today, is matter and spirit, and what is the difference between matter and spirit, and what is the difference between material activities and spiritual activities. Because I just asked you, is there people here who are engaged in material activities, but how do you define material activity? That's interesting question, interesting topic. So we are trying today to speak a little bit on this subject matter. So let's first start with the matter and spirit. Bhagavad Gita explains that matter and spirit, these are two completely different things. They have different nature. Like, for example, the nature of the spirit is eternal. The spirit is always eternal. It's full of knowledge and is full of happiness. The spirit by nature is happy. It's not necessary to make something special in order to become happy. Like generally nowadays everybody wants to get something or to achieve something in order to be happy. But actually for the spirit, this is not required. The spirit by nature is happy. And matter has different qualities. Matter is non-eternal, it's temporary. Like, for example, if we take some material object, like this harmonium, if now we can make very nice music with it, if it stays here for, let's say, 10 or 15 years without anyone using it, most probably after that we won't be able to use it in the same way, because matter is temporary and it's degrading. If you have a building, if you don't maintain it every year, after a few years most probably you won't be able to live inside because the roof will be leaking everywhere. So matter is non-permanent, temporary. Matter is not full with knowledge, rather is full with ignorance. And one of the qualities of matter is misery, not happiness. Matter by nature makes us miserable. So then someone may ask, well, okay, you are saying it looks like they are totally different things. Then if we accept that we are spirit, like generally spiritual people, they know they are spiritual living entities, they are not matter. The body is made from matter. It's like a car, a machine. We are using it to go from one place to the other. But actually we are not matter, we are spiritual. Then someone may ask, okay, But if you're saying that they have these totally different qualities, how it is that I'm a spirit and I have to be always eternally happy and satisfied and full with knowledge, and why I don't feel always like extremely happy? Why sometimes like I feel depressed? Why sometimes I'm super jolly and sometimes I don't want to exist? Why is that? How it is possible? Well, the Vedic idea is that we have these qualities by nature. These are the qualities of spirit. But when the spirit comes in contact with matter and start identifying with matter, we think that we are not permanent, we are temporary, we don't have real knowledge, and we are miserable. Basically, we start thinking that we are matter. Like, for example, if we have a man, like this is Natabar, and Natabar, he has a t-shirt. So now, if we take out his t-shirt and put it here on the ground, and we starting beating it, and twisting it, and rubbing it apart, and maybe painting with different colors, is this going to affect him? I mean, maybe yes, because it's his t-shirt, but not directly, yes? Directly he won't be affected. So, in the same way, generally, if something start doing something to our machine, our body, we should just think, well, what's the problem? Like, my body is getting sick. What's the problem? I'm not this body. But generally, we see it's not like that. Why? Because we identify with it. And we identify to such an extent that the emotions connected with the body becomes our life and soul. We accept that this is what we are. Do you like to play computer games? Someone here is playing? Not anymore, huh? Well, I remember I don't play also because I like to play, but I don't have time. And also, generally the monks, they don't play computer games. But I remember when I was kind of small, with my cousin we were spending sometimes like 8-10 hours just playing again and again and again. But one thing was very interesting, that when I was winning, everything was like paradise. But when I start losing, like one of our favorite games was Mortal Kombat. When I started losing, and if it's once, no problem. But then if it's again and again and again, and I was getting extremely angry. So angry, one time I was about to crash the computer. So, if we think a little bit about this, we can make the conclusion that when we start identifying with some object, we start having emotions connected with it. So in the same way, we can be spiritual living entities, but when we become very much attached to our machine, our body, we start experiencing different emotions connected with it. And here we are coming to the point of, okay, if we are in this world, we have to act, generally, we have to act. So how to do it in such a way that we don't get involved so much with matter, with material qualities? And that's very interesting question. It's extremely important question, because more or less if we go on the street and look around, we will see that everybody is doing something, everybody is active. So the question is how to act in a spiritual way. What means spiritual activity? What means material activity? And generally most people, they don't have idea of spiritual activity. They have idea of activity, and many of them, if they become disappointed from their material activities, like let's say you try to enjoy life in one way or the other, and for some reason you become disappointed, generally the idea that they generate for spiritual activity is exactly material activity, which is opposite. So if material activity means I am very active, spiritual activity should mean I am non-active. I stop to do anything. And this is spiritual. Or in spiritual life I have so many relationships, but I have very bad feeling after some of them. So now I'll become spiritual. That means I will stop all kinds of relationships. This is generally how it goes, the spiritual idea. Or for example, in my material life I was experiencing lots of emotions. My life was very much rich with different emotions. But then some of those emotions, they brought me lots of pain. And now I'll decide that actually I'll be spiritual, and that means I will get rid of all kinds of emotions. So generally this is how it goes. If we go outside and we start speaking with many people who are kind of trying to have a spiritual life and ask them, so what's your idea about spirituality? We will find out that many of them, they will describe spiritual life exactly in this way, that spiritual life means you stop activity, you stop relationships, you stop emotions, and basically you become nothing. Very often this is the idea about spirituality. Which is okay from one perspective if the nature of the spirit was not active. If the nature of the spirit was not active, then no problem. But if you by nature is a spirit, like spiritual living entity, and by nature you are very active, how you are going to stop acting? It's practically impossible. So then we are going to present a little bit different idea about what is spiritual activity. And it's connected with what we just read in Bhagavad Gita. I'll ask you a few questions. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Yeah. Okay. Let's see now. So, I'll ask you if different activities are spiritual or material, and you answer spiritual or material. Okay? Ready? Like, you go for a shopping. Huh? Material. Okay. Driving your car. Okay. Going to church. Okay. Skiing. Okay. Climbing Everest.
I think that could be spiritual.
Why? Why both?
Because you are interacting with matter, but it can also be a spiritual experience. You know, it can be, all of them can be both.
Where?
Essentially, no?
Why?
In a way.
Can you explain more?
Because it depends on your intention and what you're connecting with.
Okay. Very good.
What you are doing while you're doing it.
Yeah, you be doing like
What's your state while you're performing those actions?
Okay. I like your way of thought. Nice. Yeah.
I said spiritual for skiing, but I meant material.
Okay. What if on the ski it's written Hare Krishna? Then it's spiritual. Still material. Okay. Okay, I'll ask you a few more questions, okay? But already you are going where I'm trying to bring you. Let's say we meet a beggar on the street and we are giving him money. Is this spiritual or material?
Spiritual. Intention. It's intention.
Okay.
Intention.
we are preparing vegan food.
Spiritual.
Intention, because we both way. I know non-spiritual vegans.
Okay. We are going on a meeting with Dalai Lama.
Spiritual.
That's material.
That sounds pretty spiritual.
Okay, so I very much like that in the beginning you are kind of together, very clear what is spiritual and what is material, but from some point onwards there was a difference of opinion, yeah? Do you agree on this? So, yes, let's go where you actually started going. What's your name? Nice to meet you. So, yes, the idea of Bhagavad Gita is that the activity, one activity can be material or spiritual, the same activity. And it depends on what? It depends on your motivation. It depends on your consciousness, with what consciousness you are performing the activity. Like, for example, if you remember in the verse that we read, Krishna is speaking, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he is saying to Arjun. Arjun is one of the greatest warriors at that time on the whole planet. That was 5,000 years ago. And this conversation, philosophical conversation, happened just before one great battle. They are saying it was the biggest battle in the world's history. In one place, Srila Prabhupada is saying that 640 million people died on this battle.
640 million.
Yeah, for example, if I'm correct, I'm not very good in history, but if I remember correctly, I think First and Second World War together, they are maybe 50, 60 million or something like that. If someone wants, can make a faster search and check it out. But the point is, it was a big thing. And that was the greatest warrior at that time, Arjuna. So his job was to fight. This is what he's doing. This is what he can do. He cannot do other things. He's good in fighting. So he had this dilemma in his mind, if he has to go and fight, or rather give up fighting and go to the forest and become a spiritual person, a monk. That was his dilemma. So basically, I can stay material guy and do my material job, which in this case was fighting, or rather I can go to the forest and like whole day like meditate and chant mantras and become spiritual. So what shall I do? And he turned to Krishna, who was his great friend, and according to the Vedas was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who came 5,000 years ago on this planet, and he was trying to find answer. He didn't know what to do. Basically, for a short time, he experienced existential crisis because he didn't know what is right and what is wrong. Shall I become a monk and just give up everything, give up relationships, give up money, give up job, give up car, give up apartment and just go to the Himalayas? Or rather my duty is to stay and perform whatever I have to do, like work and make money and take care of my family and pay my bills. What shall I do? That was his dilemma. So what Krishna tried to explain to him again and again and again, if someone starts reading this book, I recommend to all of you to read it. Very nice book. Again and again, Krishna is trying to explain one basic point, that it's not a problem performing your material activities. The question is with what consciousness you are performing them. If it's with material consciousness, this will be material activity. But if you change your consciousness and spiritualize it, make it spiritual, then the same apparently material activity will become spiritual. And Krishna explained this to Arjuna, and then next chapter, Arjuna is saying to Krishna, I don't understand. Like, what do you want me to do? Fight and be material guy, or go to the forest and be spiritual? I don't understand. Just tell me one thing, Arjuna is saying. And then again, Krishna explains the whole thing again. Yeah, don't worry, just You can do your activity, but if you cultivate spiritual knowledge and you perform your so-called material activity with spiritual knowledge, with transcendental knowledge, this will spiritualize your activity, and it won't be any more material, it will be spiritual activity. And after Krishna explained all this, again, in the next chapter, Arjuna is saying, wait, I cannot get it. Tell me again what I have to do. Go to the forest or fight? Just tell me one thing. And then again, Krishna is explaining the whole thing. And then after 6 chapters, basically 1/3 of the book, is meant just to explain this simple point, which is extremely simple, but it's so simple that very often we can just miss it. And we can go in one direction or the other, but not try to balance both. So again, the idea of spirituality of the Vedic literature is that it's not necessary one to give up his duties, his life, his engagements. Rather, he has to change his consciousness from material, he has to make it spiritual. And when he's performing the same activities with the spiritual consciousness, this won't be any more material activities, they will be spiritual activities. And of course, someone may say, yeah, but then why, let's say, we are seeing that some people, they become monks and they go to the Himalayas or they live in the monasteries. They can just like live their life. What's the problem? Well, one answer to this is that some people, when they perform their material duties with spiritual consciousness, at some point they may decide that, well, if I already have this spiritual consciousness, then why I don't change the material situation as well and make it more favorable for my spiritual advancement? So let's say instead of performing my morning meditation for 1 hour and then working 10 hours with spiritual consciousness, but working kind of material activities, not material already we said, but it's not so directly engaged with spirituality, and then in the evening just like, let's say, hear one lecture for half an hour before going to bed, maybe I can adjust my life in such a way that from the morning till the evening all my activities can be directly 100% spiritual. So for this reason, some people, they decide, I want to go to a point in my life that I don't have anything except direct spiritual activities. And then maybe they can decide to do something like that. So basically the idea is, if the consciousness changes, automatically the externals may also change if necessary. But if not necessary, one can stay in the same position and be spiritual person. There is a famous story with one of the greatest personalities in our spiritual tradition, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is known as the last incarnation of God. Actually, he is God himself, but he is generally known as Avatara, the golden avatar. He appeared on this world 500 years ago in Bengal. And while he was traveling in one part of India, he met a very spiritual person who he was a family man, and he was very much dedicated to spirituality. But he was performing his duties connected with job and taking care of his family, and of course performing his spiritual duties. So when he met personally Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is known as the Golden Avatar, it's not by chance that he is known as the Golden Avatar. He was like mesmerized from how he looks and everything. And he just said, I don't want to stay anymore here, I just want to come with you. And then Sri Chaitanya, he gave him very interesting advice. He told him, no, stay here, perform your duties, but all the time be conscious of me. With your mind, with your intelligence, try to be completely fixed on me. And this is what he did. He stayed at home, and again, apparently he was engaged in his material activities, but actually his life was totally spiritual, totally spiritualized. Then someone may ask the question, okay, but what will help us to change our consciousness in order to spiritualize it, to make it from material spiritual? Like someone may say, I'm working hard whole day and I'm just thinking about money and about the problems in my job, and I have problem with my girlfriend as well, like all these things. I don't think this is spiritual. I think this is rather material. So what will help me to change my consciousness, to elevate my consciousness? So what do you think? What can help us to do this, to make this change? Chanting, yes, chanting. What is chanting? Yes.
What is chanting, or I want to say something previous?
Yes, say.
Cleaning our room, our apartment.
Cleaning our room. Okay. That's very good for a beginning. Okay. Yes.
Let's say change your perspective.
Change your perspective. Yeah, this is what we want to do. But
Yeah.
what will help us to change our perspective? Because sometimes we see just the environment around us is so influential that we want to change our perspective, but we cannot change it.
Yeah, you can. I mean,
Theoretically we know, but
not
sometimes,
easy.
like sometimes you decide, like 31st of December 2021, from tomorrow I will make such a change in my life. Nothing will be the same. I will be a different person. I will be the best. I will achieve this. And then tomorrow comes, and 10:30 you are already in bed.
That's not how growth works.
Maybe actually 2:30, because generally people go to sleep very late. But the point is, it's we want to do it, but it's not easy to do it alone. So what are the things that they can help us, especially in the beginning, to make this change? Yes?
Maybe if we think that there is some teaching behind it.
Some teachings.
Yes. God is trying to teach us something.
Learning. Okay. To generate knowledge.
Yeah.
Yes, this can definitely help us.
Singing.
Huh?
Singing.
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 Yes, okay.
So
Okay.
Association.
Association. Yeah, I'm like every night I'm in the bar till 1 o'clock. I cannot understand why I cannot change myself yet. What's the problem? I have enough association, like 7 days a week. Every night I'm associating. Well, I cannot understand why the change is not coming. Okay, association, yes, I agree with you. It's true. It's true. I'm just...
The quality of association.
Yes, what kind of association though? Okay, yeah, nice things. Someone else want to say something more?
Your diet.
Your diet. You means like
You change your diet, you can change your perspective.
you stop eating? You mean?
That could be
Also.
Fasting.
Fasting. Oh, not eat. 27 days I'm drinking only water. Now I'm totally spiritual. All the cells in my body are already spiritualized. It can help, yes. What else? What did you say?
What did I say?
Yeah.
Did I say something?
Yeah.
Can you give me a hint? I don't know, honestly. The first thing I said was perspective.
Perspective, yeah.
Yeah.
This I remember.
Is there something
I
else?
thought you want to say something more. Okay. Yes, different things, they can help us to make a change in our life. We can divide them on two general categories. So one category is material things that can help us to elevate our consciousness. Like, for example, try to change your perspective, clean the room, follow a better diet, these things, they are influencing us. Also nice music, listening nice music. Of course, music, again, it can be spiritual, it can be material, but I'm looking to it now from the material perspective. It's just nice music. Helps you to cool down, to relax, to become more positive. So these things are helpful. In the Vedic tradition, these things are known as different activities in the quality of goodness. According to the Vedic knowledge, material world around us is influencing us by three ways: ignorance, passion, and goodness. When we are influenced by the things, material things in ignorance, this makes us go down, degrade. When we are influenced by things in passion, this generally in the beginnings makes us go up, but at some point we have to go down. Why? Because passion cannot be steady. Like, for example, if you are playing some very passionate sport, for how long you can do it? 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. Then you have to stop, and then you go completely in the opposite direction. Like total peace. You just lie down and you don't do anything. And then when we are influenced by the things in goodness, this helps us to elevate our consciousness. Goodness is very helpful for spiritual advancement. So there are material things that can help us, and we can cultivate knowledge, learn, see which are these things, and try to use them in our life. Now, apart from this, there are other activities. In the Vedas, they are called spiritual activities. Why? By nature, they are spiritual. It's not that they are material activities and you spiritualize them by your consciousness. No, by nature, they are spiritual activities. And even if you don't have a proper consciousness, still you get spiritual benefit from them. These are generally direct activities connected with something spiritual. Like, for example, I ask, if you go to church, is this material or spiritual? And like all of you said, hey, it's spiritual. Why? Because it's like it's the house of God, and when we go there, we kind of feel it's a different atmosphere. It's like something is different. It's something spiritual. Or when we are singing prayers or mantras, it's a spiritual sound. So because it's a spiritual sound, again, even if we don't know what exactly we are singing, again, it influences our consciousness and elevates it. Reading spiritual books are directly trying to help us to understand that we are spirit, we are not matter, and we have connection with the supreme reality, with God. Books which are trying to connect us with pure personalities which are trying to make serious spiritual advancement. So these kind of things, they are direct spiritual activities. So basically, if we try to put in our day-to-day life quite few of those activities, material activities which are elevating our consciousness to goodness, or direct spiritual activities, we will see this will be extremely helpful to start seeing our material reality in a spiritual way. We will start seeing how our consciousness is changing more and more and more. And the last thing that I want to say in this connection is that generally it is very, very difficult to make serious spiritual change in your consciousness. It is possible, but it's difficult, especially in the age that we are living now, because it's known as age of it's called the Iron Age. Why iron? For two reasons. Well, because everything is made from iron. If we look around, we are not using gold anymore, we are not using silver, we are using only rusty iron. That's one reason. But the other reason is that in the Vedas it is explained that there are 4 ages and they are changing as the 4 seasons, and now we are in the winter. So the winter is kind of the Kali Yuga, exactly. Kali Yuga. Yuga means age, and Kali means the age of Kali. It's a difficult time. It's called the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. It's difficult to cultivate good qualities, good character in this age. Why? Because everybody around you is kind of trying to cheat and trying to look only what is good for himself. Nobody cares about anybody else. So it's difficult to advance spiritually in this kind of situation. But one thing can help a lot, and this is if we take help. That's why in the Vedic literature it is said, Tasmad Guru Prapadyeta Jigyasu Shreya Uttamam. One should try to find Guru. Try to find someone who is already there. He is a spiritual personality. He is transcendental to matter. And by seeing him, by associating with him, by asking him questions, we will also make spiritual advancement. Of course, now we are opening another big topic, which is, okay, how to find a guru and who is a real guru, because nowadays we have many gurus, so who is real one, who is not real one. One thing we can quote what our guru of this Hare Krishna society is saying, very important thing about guru. He is saying the real guru, he will never tell you, I am God and I am to make you God. The real guru is saying, I am servant of God and I am servant of all other living entities, and if you like I can help you also to become servant of all other living entities and also servant of God. So basically the real guru, he is not trying to show off. The real guru, he just wants to give you spiritual knowledge to understand how you are a spiritual particle, you are part of God, and you are connected also with all other living entities in a spiritual way, because they are also spiritual living entities. So if we really want to advance spiritually, we have to find a real guru, bona fide guru. We are very, very fortunate because this night we have one here with us, Kavichandra Swami. I can tell you later more about him.
There are many gurus. Guru means teacher.
Yes. Guru means teacher.
Prabhupada, somebody asked him once, in the Vedic time, everybody had a guru. No, they couldn't think, because they only knew one guru. Prabhupada. He said, you don't know what is guru. A guru is anyone that knows more than you. You have to have a humble state of mind, and then you can learn from.
Yes, very often people, they think that to be a guru it's very easy and it's very nice. Like, oh, if I'm guru, like everybody will pay obeisances to me, and they'll give me money, and they'll give me all kinds of presents, like Osho. You know Osho? You know him? Not one. He had around 100. 99, okay, sorry. 99. So basically, people, they have this idea that, yeah, why not? I will advance spiritually and then I'll become guru, and it's so nice. Actually,
Well, he was supposed to be the God.
yeah, to be a guru is the most difficult thing in this world. Why? Because you have so many living entities, they don't really want to become spiritual. Rather, they want to be material, they want to be selfish. And you try selflessly to help them to become spiritual, to become selfless. It's very, very, very difficult task. And you try to do something for others, and then at the end they just put you on the cross and they crucify you. And they tell you, thank you very much for coming and for helping us and for giving us all this knowledge. This is your reward. Like, This is a difficult task of the Guru. But anyway, the point that we just wanted to make is that it's not easy to change your consciousness from material to spiritual, and generally we need help. And if we are serious about our spiritual life, at some point, it may be sooner or it may be later, we should try to find a real Guru and try to learn from him, try to serve him, try to ask questions and make spiritual advancement. This is one of the main points in this book, Bhagavad Gita.
Everybody here have Bhagavad Gita?
I think not everybody.
Everybody not have it?
Yes, Jimmy.
Yes, I have a question. So the key to finding Guru is humility. I think something that I've realized through just my life so far is that humility is very difficult to cultivate. So then what is the best way to cultivate humility so that we can be capable of finding Guru or capable of receiving Guru?
Mm-hmm. It's a good question. Yes, generally, like Bhagavad Gita is saying, Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. If you want to approach a real Guru, first thing is you have to do it with humility. You should be able to bow down, to become humble. Why? Because mercy and knowledge, they are always coming from a higher place to a lower place. If you think you are better than the Guru, you cannot get benefited from him. You cannot get knowledge. Well, we have two choices about humility. Either we can become humble by, voluntarily, by developing knowledge, or material world, material life will make us humble. And generally this is what we see, like generally young people, there is such kind of saying. That means I don't want to, here we have different people in different ages, but there is such kind of saying, the arrogance of youth. Have you heard this? Yeah. Why? Because when you are young, like when you are 15 or 20, you think the world is yours. You can achieve everything, you can do everything. And it's true to some extent, because you're ready to fight and you're ready to give whatever is necessary to achieve some success in life. But also with the time, one gains wisdom, and he understands that maybe I won't be able to do everything that I want to do in this lifetime. And you realize that actually your energy is limited. And you have to start thinking where I want to put my energy. I cannot be everywhere. And then gradually this starts making you humble, because you understand I'm limited. I'm not God. Yes, I can do many things. I can be successful in many places, in many spheres of life. But I'm not unlimited. I'm limited. So generally this gradually starts making us a little bit more humble. And if we understand that we are limited, then we are ready to search for help, to try to get knowledge from other people. If someone is reading books, to some extent this may mean that he has some humility, because generally through books we are trying to get some knowledge. Yes, so you are ready to open a book and you are ready to hear what someone else said about the world, and maybe you can be benefited from this, change your perspective of life. As Noah said, we have to change our perspective. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Would you like to say something, to ask something? Or everything is clear?
We have some kirtan.
Yes. What kind of kirtan would you like to make? Like one way of kirtan is dancing kirtan. Okay, so let's make ecstatic dancing kirtan. We just have to take off the chairs and let's do it.